Hi guys, and welcome to just another one of my little rants. Not done one for a while, but today I just want to talk about the IPCC climate report, which was published today. So the IPCC is the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. So these are scientists and experts which work independently, and there's over 12,000 of them. They work across the globe from different countries, but the key thing is they're independent. And what they do is essentially look at all the peer-reviewed science which has been published recently. And peer-reviewed science means that anyone who does their research has other experts within the field sort of scrutinising it and critiquing it, so we know it's accurate science. And this report today is a stark warning. I mean, the report itself doesn't offer anything new. It sort of shows that, you know, we're in a desperate situation in terms of climate change. But we already know this, but it is just another stark warning, perhaps to governments, perhaps to individuals, that we really do need to change. Especially if we want to limit global climate change or temperature change to 3 degrees, which is, you know, 3 degrees doesn't seem a lot, but when you go home tonight, turn your fridge down 3 degrees or turn your freezer up 3 degrees, and you'll notice the change. So, you know, when we think about people's health and food production and how animals live and melting ice and sea rising and increase in diseases, increase of pests, all these things are going to be affected. But what we really need to do is limit that damage. So the report does offer some hope, and the hope is that we can limit the rise in temperature, and we can do that using nature-based solutions. So at the moment, natural carbon sinks such as our forests and oceans actually absorb about 50% of all the carbon we release, and that's a positive thing. But unfortunately, we are destroying these natural sinks. We're destroying the ocean by overfishing, putting pollution in it, overshipping and so on. Plastic is another problem, but also great lungs of the earth such as the Amazon. There's just been a paper published what suggests the Amazon's now emitting more carbon than it's actually absorbing, and this is because we're destroying it for cattle ranching, soya production, and there's an increase in fires as well. So we can make changes, but we need to really think about getting net zero carbon, and a lot of governments have pledged to do this, but there seems to be a lot of greenwashing. So it needs to be radical, and we need to change it. And we know they've got the technology there, but perhaps we've just not got the political will to do it. Unfortunately, the report says some things won't change. So we know the sea's going to continue rising, and this is tied in perhaps with ice melting. And this report says that we can say with about 90% confidence that the glaciers melting and the ice melting is because of human activity. So just a mile down the road at Paynton from where I am now, there's already plans in place to build seawalls to stop this rise. So it is quite devastating, and it will have an impact on humanity. And if you think Turkey's on fire, Greece is on fire, California's on fire, all these things were not included in that report because they've happened after the report was written. So we're seeing the effects, and we're seeing the effects in the West now as well. Look in your garden in the UK, you'll probably see more aphids. We've had more extreme weather events, and people will say, oh well, extreme weather, in Greece it's normally 30 degrees when I go on holiday, or how come it's extreme here when it's 40 degrees when I go to America or whatever. Well, it's because different areas will have different gauges to say what's extreme weather for that area. So extreme in the UK is a period of around 3 days over 28 degrees because it's not normally that warm. So again, sometimes we look at it simple and think, oh well, that country normally has a hot weather, so why is this extreme? But again, it's just because it's not the normal for where we are, and we're really changing that. But I guess governments, will they do things? They can do. You know, no one's getting rich really off saving the planet, where lots of people are getting rich destroying the planet. There's not a conspiracy behind this. The science is independent, and the good thing with science as well is, you know, you don't have to believe it, but you need to disprove it. And because it's peer reviewed, because there's so many experts, because there's so many independent experts, we know this is happening. So it's time to act now, and we can really make our individual pledges, drive less, fly less, think about where our food comes from, eat less meat. All this is what the scientists are saying. If you eat meat 7 days a week, forget about the health implications or the animal welfare implications. Really think of the impact on biodiversity and climate. So maybe cut down to 5 days a week or 4 days a week. If you have meat 5 days a week, can you go to 2 days a week? If you only eat meat once a week, do you actually need it? What about your fish? Where's that coming from? So it really is an emergency. We throw too much away. We don't want to pay for stuff like dental care, but we'll pay for stuff like plasma TVs. Just coming home from work today, there was massive queues on a Monday outside McDonald's on the day this report was actually published. So we just really need to act. I encourage everyone to do their own independent research into it, but it is bleak, but it's not a surprise, and we know this is happening. We're seeing it now in the Western world, and perhaps that's going to become more pressing. I'd also say on the issue as well, if people are against things like immigration for people fleeing wars or economic migrants, well, that's nothing compared to what we're going to see when people cannot actually bear the temperatures they're living in. We're going to see a mass shift in people, and Barack Obama actually treated climate change as a national security problem. So there's going to be lots of issues like that linked to security and so forth. Starvation's going to be a massive thing. We'll probably see increased taxation when we're providing more aid for countries what don't have any fresh water anymore. Countries like Russia have about 1/3 of all the, maybe a bit less than 1/3 of all the fresh water on the planet. So if you just think, you know, they're going to be cushy, and there might be conflicts in the future, and a lot of people think that World War III will actually be over fresh water. So if you don't believe in the science, think about the social aspects. But again, do check out the report, but more importantly, do your own independent research and make sure it's peer reviewed. Thankfully there are some positives, but we need to act now, and you and I have a role in doing that. So make them changes, make them today, for the sake of, you know, our kids and their future as well. Okay, cheers guys, bye.